Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's now August, and as you know, if you watched my previous video about the topic, I was participating in Plastic Free July. And what I wanted to do was record how much trash in general, that is anything that couldn't be composted or recycled or reused, I wanted to keep all that and reflect at the end of the month as to how I did. In addition to taking up the general Plastic Free July challenge of giving up single-use plastics like plastic bags, plastic water bottles, plastic straws and coffee cups. So how did I do? Well, this is how much trash I made in the entire month. This jam jar. I'll go through it in a minute, but first I'm going to talk about how I did in general and the good and the bad things that came out of my Plastic Free July journey. So first the good, it was great. It was a great little experiment to see how zero waste I could be in general in my life, and it was really good. I found that a lot of things were really simple and really easy, and it did help that I'd already started to implement some changes in my life, which if you've seen my Towards Zero Waste video, you'll know about those changes that I've made, and so that made it quite easy. Those weren't new changes for me, but I found I was being a lot more careful with my grocery shop, and I found that the packaging that I ended up with was a lot less than usual and was almost all recyclable, so that was awesome. Another good thing that happened was going to various cafes and takeaway places and finding that they were just completely open to the idea. They didn't say a bad word about it when I pulled out, you know, my takeaway coffee cup or my takeaway container. They didn't care, they didn't blink an eye. One really funny thing that happened was, it was near the end of July and I'd been in town all day. I hadn't been home yet. I'd been at work, I'd been at dance class, I'd been running errands and all this type of thing, and it was quite late. It was like 8 o'clock at night and I hadn't been home yet. I hadn't had dinner and I was just a bit hungry. And so I did something I don't normally do, and I went to the McDonald's drive-thru to get some fries. So I got some fries and I looked at my drink bottle and I'd finished all the water, and I was like, I can't have fries and not have a drink because, you know, they're so salty and you need to drink something. So I said through the drive-thru, the drive-thru microphone box thing, I was like, can I get a small lemonade, but can I please get no straw and no lid with that? And they were just like, a small lemonade but no straw and no lid? Sure, no worries, drive on through. And I was like, yes! I could tell when the girl handed it to me out the window, she was like, they're so full. She's like, that bitch is gonna spill that drink everywhere in her car. I didn't. So that was a really cool thing that happened in Plastic Free July. Also another great thing was it got conversations flowing with various people. Like at this cafe I love to go to, Flock in Lismore. I took my container and my coffee cup multiple times during the month there and got some treats and a coffee, and they didn't blink an eye, and they were like, oh, that's really cool, you know, like they were really responding to it, and like they're really conscious of that themselves. Their takeaway containers are cardboard anyway. They were really positive about that idea, and they really encourage people to bring their own cups anyway, so that was good. And it also got conversations flowing with workmates, friends. I had a number of other friends trying Plastic Free July as well, so that was really cool. Yeah, just overall it was a really positive experience, and it made me realise how easy it can be to minimise your plastic usage and minimise your waste in this world. So yeah, I thought it was going to be really hard, and it wasn't. While it wasn't a perfect Plastic Free July and it wasn't completely zero waste, I did find it really positive and really quite easy for the changes that I made. Now the bad things. I had a slip up basically. I think it was on the 1st of July. And I was at I'm part of the Lions Club, and our club had our changeover luncheon, and I went to make myself and my father a coffee they had it all set up with the ceramic mugs and the hot water and you know, the coffee and all of that. I went to make those, and without thinking about it, I just picked up the plastic spoon to stir the coffee with. And I was like, what did I just do? But it was because the plastic spoon was right there and there was no steel spoons, but I could have just gone over back to the table and used my dessert spoon because we hadn't had dessert at that point yet. And I was just like, oh my god, what did I just do? And then in addition to that, all the ceramic coffee mugs were already placed with a napkin underneath. So there was that, and there was also raffle tickets, and there was just a little bit of trash, most of it recyclable, that I ended up with after that particular lunch. And I remember just being like, what am I doing? This is like day 1 of Plastic Free July and I've ended up with all this trash already, and I knew that I was going to be keeping all my trash. And I was just like, oh, what have I done? But it was fine. Most of it was recyclable and the world kept moving. There was one time during the month where I was at a cafe and getting a treat as well as a coffee in my reusable coffee cup. And the girl, who was quite young, and I'd never seen her there before, she grabbed a paper bag to then they put the cardboard trays, takeaway trays, inside the paper bags and then hand them to you. So I saw her starting to pick up the paper bag and I was like, oh no, like I've got my container here. And she's like, oh okay, no worries. So she takes my container off me, puts the treat in, and then she put my reusable container into the paper bag and handed it to me. And I was like, huh, thank you. I mean, I'm lucky it was only paper, a paper bag, I could recycle it, but I was just like, what? You just put a reusable container inside a paper bag? It was really random. I take daily medication and it comes in those foil blister packs and those are not recyclable. So I have all of that from my month, all of that trash. I also found a problem when it came, and it's not really a problem because I could have easily fixed it, but I didn't. Bread. I eat a lot of bread. I love bread. I'm a carboholic, and I generally just buy my bread at the supermarket in the plastic things with the plastic ties. And this month I started really looking at that process and I was like, I am changing so much of the rest of my lifestyle, including my food packaging, to not include plastic or non-recyclable items, and yet I was still purchasing bread that the plastic bag around it is recyclable, but that's not the best case. But those little bread ties that come on the end, they're not recyclable. So I've ended up with a couple of them by the end of this month, and the whole time I was thinking, what are you doing? Why won't you just take a little bit of extra effort and go to a bakery and ask if they'll put it in a cloth bag for you? And I realised I was actually scared to. I think I was slightly just nervous about it, and I don't know, everything else that I do hasn't bothered me. I've just done it, like going to shops with my reusable containers and stuff. That hasn't bothered me, but for some reason to go and find a bakery that will put my bread in a cloth bag, I just didn't do it. And I was like, why? I guess I just didn't have the self-confidence to do it. But I don't know. It's time for me to take bigger steps with my zero waste journey and put myself out there and do those kind of things. Like, I've had no problems going to bulk food stores, taking my containers to a cafe. I've had no problems with those things, but for some reason I couldn't bring myself to go to a bakery and ask for bread in a cloth bag. I will change this in the future. I'm going to put on my big girl pants and go and do it. Another thing was also tooth floss. Now I said, if you saw my toiletries video, you know that I'm still using up dental floss that I had just hanging around the house. So I'm still using all that up, and as far as I know it's not compostable, so it's just going in the trash at the moment until I use up all the floss that I have left. I only kept a little bit of it for my jar because I didn't want to keep all of it. That's kind of gross, and I only kept like the last couple of days floss in this jar because I was like, I wanted to show you that it was in my jar, but I didn't want to keep a month's supply of dental floss. That's just a bit unhygienic, really. So yeah, those were any problems I ran into and the awesome things about my plastic-free July journey. This is my jar. This is a little jam jar, and this is what I have in there. So I will show you each thing now. As I said, I have all of the blister packs from my medications here, so there's nothing I can really do about that. I just have to deal with that. They're not medications I cannot take. They're very important for my health. So yeah, there's that. The next was that damned plastic spoon from the lunch that I went to. There's that. There's also, okay, here's all that dental floss. Gross, right? Oh, this was a hair tie that's really like, it's dead. It's dying, and I don't know what to do about that. So that's going in the trash. This was a sticker from something. I can't remember what. And those bread ties I talked about, there's 3 of them. And this is one of those little pillow pack things. It was from the bottom of a plastic jar of these little protein treat things, so that was in there to keep them fresh or whatever. I don't know. And these were from, I was building a costume for a Cancer Council fundraiser event I am participating in, and these were the back of Velcro strips there, so they're plastic. And then this was one of these things from the top of a soy milk carton. So yeah, that was everything in my jar, and that was my experience of Plastic Free July. All in all, it was awesome, and I enjoyed it, and I learnt a lot, and it showed me how easy it is to just make some small changes in your life that make a huge impact on the world.